Commander Jake Morrison sat in the big meeting hall of the Galactic Federation. His hands were shaking a little as he watched alien leaders from across the galaxy give their reports. Each report was worse than the last one. The war was going very badly. The Zephyrian Empire had been attacking planets for 3 months now. They had better weapons than anyone had ever seen before. Their ships could destroy entire fleets in just a few hours. The Federation was losing badly. "We have lost most of our ships," said Ambassador Veltar. He was from a race that looked like living crystals. His body was flashing red colors, which meant he was very scared. "The Zephyrians have some new kind of weapon. It goes right through our shields, like they are not even there." Jake felt uncomfortable in his chair. Earth had only joined Federation 5 years ago. Humans were still new to space war. Their ships were small compared to the huge battleships that other aliens had. Most people thought human ships were weak and not very useful. "What about the big ships from Altair?" asked Admiral Mary Chun. She was also from Earth and sat next to Jake at the human table. "All destroyed yesterday," answered Fleet Marshal Krixtha. He looked like a giant snake, but could walk on 2 legs. "The Zephyrians have weapons that ignore all our defenses. Our best shields mean nothing to them." The room became very quiet. Jake could hear the soft humming sounds of the machines that helped everyone understand each other's languages. He could feel that everyone was giving up hope. In all the thousands of years that different alien races had been fighting wars, no one had ever been this powerful. "There might be one thing we can try," Jake said. His voice was so quiet that almost no one heard him. Every alien in the room turned to look at the human table. Most of them had not paid much attention to the humans during this crisis. Earth's small fleet was only used for support jobs, not real fighting. "Speak, Commander Morrison," said Supreme Chancellor Faxmer. He was the oldest and most important leader in the Federation. His body was huge and floated on a special platform. Jake took a deep breath. "We have a ship. It is very old by space standards. About 500 years old. Most humans think it is too old to use anymore. It has been sleeping in space for a long time." "An old ship?" laughed General Vexara. She was from a warrior race that loved to fight. "Commander, we need real weapons, not old junk from a museum." Jake did not let her words stop him. "This ship was built during what we call the Resource Wars. It was made for one job only: to end wars fast and completely. We put it away 300 years ago and never used it again." "What kind of ship is it?" asked Admiral Chun. She was leaning forward and looked very interested. "It is called an Extinction-class dreadnought. The ship's name is USS Valiant." The translation machines had trouble with these new words. Many aliens started looking in their computers to find out what humans meant by these terms. They could not find anything about this type of ship. "I have never heard of an Extinction-class ship," said Veltar. His crystal body was now flashing blue colors, which meant he was confused. "That is because we only built one," Jake said. His voice sounded sad and worried. "After our war ended, we hid all the plans for this ship. We put the ship away where no one could find it. When the Federation first met us, we had to tell them about our active military ships. But the Valiant was not active anymore." Supreme Chancellor Faxmer moved on his floating platform. "What makes you think this old ship could win when our modern fleets have failed?" Jake looked straight at the Chancellor. "Because it was not built to fight wars, Chancellor. It was built to end them." The room was silent again. Many aliens were looking at each other with worried expressions. They had learned that humans were different from other races in many ways. Humans had fought terrible wars on their own planet before they learned to travel in space. Most alien races had never experienced the kind of brutal warfare the humans knew about. "Tell us more about this ship," said Admiral Likvar. He commanded the Federation's largest fleet and had been fighting the Zephyrians for months. Jake looked at Admiral Chun. She nodded at him to continue. The resource wars almost destroyed Earth. 2 billion humans died. Our planet was dying. We built the Valiant to end the fighting before everyone was dead. What weapons does it have? Asked General Vexara. Now she sounded more interested than mocking. I cannot tell you all the details here, Jake said, but I can say that it does not use energy weapons like your ships do. It uses physical weapons, things that actually hit the target instead of just shooting energy at it. Physical weapons? Said Krixtha. That is very old technology. How could old weapons work against modern shields? Because physical weapons do not care about energy shields, Jake explained. If you throw a rock at a wall of light, the rock will go right through. Many aliens started talking to each other in excited voices. The idea of weapons that could ignore shields was both frightening and hopeful. How long would it take to wake up this ship? Asked Supreme Chancellor Thaxmer. About 12 hours, Jake answered. But you need to understand something. This ship was built by humans who were fighting for their lives. It was made to be scary. It was made to make enemies give up just by looking at it. We are fighting for our lives now, said Admiral Vekvar. Bring your ship, Commander Morrison. Let us see what human fear looks like. Jake nodded. He hoped he was making the right choice. The Valiant had been put away for good reasons. It was too dangerous, too frightening, even for humans. But now, the galaxy was facing something worse than anything Earth had ever seen. I will contact Earth immediately, Jake said. The USS Valiant will join the fight. As Jake left the meeting hall to send his message to Earth, he wondered if the galaxy was ready to see what humans could do when they stopped holding back. The Valiant was not just a ship. It was proof that humans understood something about war that other races had never learned. Sometimes, the only way to have peace was to be more frightening than your enemies. Captain Lisa Hayes floated in the empty space inside the Valiant's control room. She had not felt gravity in this room for over 300 years. The ship had been sleeping in the cold darkness of space for so long that ice had formed on some of the walls. Emergency lights made strange shadows everywhere as her small crew worked to bring the ancient ship back to life. The power is coming back better than I thought it would, said Chief Engineer Pete Collins through the radio. His voice came from 3 floors below, where he was working on the ship's heart. These old fusion reactors were built to last forever. Give me 6 more hours, and we will have full power. Lisa nodded even though Pete could not see her from so far away. What about the weapons? That is the interesting part, Captain. The railguns are perfect. The magnetic coils that shoot the metal bullets show no damage at all. The missile tubes are clear, and the machines that make new missiles still work. But the real surprise is the planet killer system. The planet crackers still work? Every single one. The big metal rods are still in their tubes, and the machines that throw them are showing all green lights. Lisa felt cold fear run through her body. The cold had nothing to do with the frozen air around her. The Valiant had been humanity's answer to the resource wars. That war had almost killed every person on Earth and destroyed the planet's environment. 2 billion people had died. The ship's builders had taken a simple approach. Build something so scary that no enemy would want to keep fighting after seeing it work. Captain, called Lieutenant Dan Parker from the communications desk. I am getting an important message from Earth Command. Put it on the screen. A picture appeared in the air showing Admiral Kate Rogers in her Earth Fleet uniform. Captain Hayes, how are things going? We will be ready to leave in 8 hours, Admiral. The ship is waking up better than we hoped. Good. I have been looking at the Valiant's weapons with the Federation war experts. They do not understand how a ship built with 500-year old technology could work against modern defenses. Lisa smiled a little. Did you explain how we think about building weapons? I thought it would be better if they saw it themselves. The Federation fleet is gathering at the Kepler 442 star system for what they think will be their last battle. You need to go there as soon as your ship is ready. I understand, Admiral. What about the crew? We only have 1/3 of the people we normally need. The Valiant was designed to work with just a few people in an emergency. Besides, what you do not have in crew numbers, you have in firepower. After the call ended, Lisa moved through the ship's hallways. She noticed how different the Valiant looked compared to modern Federation ships. New ships had smooth curves and looked like art. The Valiant was all sharp angles and thick armor. Every surface had a purpose, and every system had a backup. It had been built by people who understood that war was not a game or a political tool. War was a force of nature that could destroy everything. Captain, Pete's voice echoed through the hallway. You need to see this. Lisa found her chief engineer in the main weapons room. He was standing in front of a display that showed all the ship's weapons. The numbers were amazing, even compared to modern ships. 200 railguns from small ones to huge ones. Pete read from the screen. 4,000 missile tubes with machines that make new missiles automatically. 60 planet cracker mass drivers. And that is just the normal weapons. What about the special systems? Pete's face became serious. The gravity will makers work. The electromagnetic pulse arrays are ready. And the quantum vacuum bombs ... double quotes. He stopped talking. Captain, these weapons are banned by every peace treaty in the galaxy. The Valiant is older than those treaties, Pete. Besides, the Zephyrians broke the rules of war when they started killing civilians. As if their talk had called her, Ensign Carol Stone appeared at the door. Captain, we are getting emergency messages from the Kepler system. The final battle has started. Lisa looked around the weapons room one more time. Every weapon system was designed to end fights quickly and completely. The ship's builders had learned that long wars killed more people than short, brutal ones. They had decided that it was better to be feared than to let wars drag on for years. How long until we can leave? Lisa asked. 4 hours, Pete answered. But Captain, are we really going to use all these weapons? Some of them could destroy entire planets. Only if we have to, Lisa said. The Valiant was built to end wars, not to destroy worlds. But the Zephyrians need to understand that attacking innocent people has consequences. Lisa made her way to her private room to rest before the battle. She had read the history files about the resource wars many times. The people who built the Valiant had seen their world dying and their families being killed. They had built this ship not because they loved war, but because they wanted to make sure war would never happen again. The ship's designers had asked themselves a simple question. What would it take to make an enemy so afraid that they would never fight again? The answer was the Valiant. A ship so powerful and so frightening that just seeing it would make enemies surrender. But Lisa knew that fear was a dangerous tool. If you scared people too much, they might become desperate and do something crazy. The trick was to be scary enough to end the war, but not so scary that you started a bigger war as the Valiant continued to wake up from its long sleep. Lisa hoped that the galaxy was ready to see what humans could build when they were fighting. For their survival. The ship around her was proof that humans understood something important about war. Sometimes the best way to have peace was to be prepared for the worst kind of war in a few hours. The galaxy would learn that humans had been holding back for 300 years. The Valiant was about to show everyone what human engineering looked like when there were no rules and no limits. The ancient Guardian was awakening, and the war was about to change forever. The USS Valiant came out of hyperspace at the edge of the Kepler 442 star system and saw a terrible sight. The Federation's last battle was happening exactly as the Zephyrians had planned. They were destroying every ship, space station, and defense. Platform in the system one by one. "Dear God," whispered Lieutenant Parker as the battle screen filled with contact points. Red dots showed Zephyrian ships, and blue dots showed Federation ships. There were 4 red dots for every blue dot, Captain. Hayes studied the battlefield with the cold mind that had made her the commander of humanity's most dangerous weapon. The Zephyrians had formed a perfect circle around the inner system. Their ships were placed so that they could shoot at any Federation ship that tried to break through or escape. "Captain," reported Chief Collins from the sensor station. "I am." Reading huge energy signatures from the Zephyrian fleet. "Their plasma weapons are charging for another big attack. How far away is the nearest enemy group?" 12 million kilometers and getting closer." "They have not seen us yet?" Lisa nodded. The Valiant's hiding systems were old by current standards, but they worked well. The ship's sharp angles and special coatings made it nearly invisible, too. Most sensor systems. "Captain Hayes," came a desperate message from the Federation flagship. "This is Admiral Vekvar on the ship Sovereign. We are reading an unknown vessel at our edge. Please tell us who you are." "Admiral, this is Captain Lisa. Hayes of the human vessel USS Valiant. We are here to help." A pause, then the Admiral spoke again. "Captain, with respect, you need to leave right away. We are facing total destruction. One ship, no matter how good it is, cannot change what is happening here." Lisa allowed herself a thin smile. "Admiral, you have never seen a human ship fight. A real war." She switched to the ship's internal communication system. "All crew, this is the captain. We are about to fight a much larger enemy force to defend Federation worlds and civilian populations. The Valiant was built for exactly this purpose. We will show everyone why humanity chose to retire this class of vessel after seeing what it could do." She turned to her weapons officer. "Miss Stone, bring all systems online. Full combat setup." "Yes, Captain." Railguns are charging, missile tubes are loaded, and the mass drivers are ready for targets. "Pete, give me everything the reactors can produce." "Captain, if I push the fusion cores to maximum, we will be making enough energy to power a small planet." "Do it." The Valiant changed as its combat systems came online. Weapon ports that had been sealed for centuries opened with smooth precision. The ship's hull moved and shifted as armor plates slid into battle positions. Sensor arrays extended to their full size, like the eyes of a waking giant. "Captain," reported Parker with amazement in his voice, "the Zephyrians are finally seeing." "US. They are trying to scan our vessel." "Let them look," Lisa replied. "Miss Stone, lock onto the nearest enemy formation. Let's show them what human engineering looks like." The Zephyrian ships that were trying to scan the Valiant were getting very confused readings. Their computers could not understand what they were looking at. The human ship was clearly very old, but it was also clearly very dangerous. Its energy output was higher than anything they had ever seen. "Captain," Stone reported, "the enemy ships are moving into attack formation. They think we are just one. Old ship. They are about to learn better. Target the lead destroyer and fire a warning shot." "Warning shot, Captain?" "One rail gun, Miss Stone. Let's see how they react to our weakest weapon." The Valiant's smallest rail gun fired a single tungsten bullet at a tiny fraction of its full power. The bullet traveled at 1/10 the speed of light and hit the Zephyrian destroyer's shield. The result was immediate and shocking. The bullet went through the energy shield like it was not there and punched a hole clean through the enemy ship. The destroyer began spinning out of control as atmosphere and crew were sucked out into space. "Direct hit," reported Stone with surprise in her voice. "Captain, their shields did not even slow down our round. It went straight through." The other Zephyrian ships immediately began moving in different directions to avoid more shots. But the Valiant's targeting systems had been designed to track objects moving at speeds between planets. The enemy ships looked like they were standing still. Multiple targets are trying to lock onto us, reported Parker. They are charging their plasma weapons. Time until they hit us? 18 seconds, Captain. Lisa's response was calm and measured. Pete, turn on the gravity well generators. Miss Stone, fire the electromagnetic pulse arrays. What happened next broke several basic rules about space combat that had been true for thousands of years. The Valiant's gravity generators created twisted areas in space that bent the incoming plasma bolts like light passing through water. At the same time, the EMP arrays sent out focused bursts of electromagnetic energy that shut down every electronic system within 50,000 kilometers. 12. Zephyrian cruisers went dark in an instant. Their crews were left struggling with emergency lighting and manual controls, while the Valiant's missiles found their targets with perfect accuracy. Captain, came Admiral Vekvar's voice over the communication system. What kind of weapons are those? Old ones, Admiral. Miss Stone, target more enemy ships. Show them what happens when you attack civilians. The Zephyrian fleet was beginning to understand that they faced something completely new. Their most advanced weapons and defenses were useless against technology that was 500 years old. The human ship was not fighting by the same rules that everyone else used. Captain, reported Parker, the enemy command ship is sending a message. They want to talk. Tell them the time for talking was before they started killing innocent people. Miss Stone, prepare the quantum vacuum bombs. Even Stone hesitated at this order. Captain, those weapons ... We'll end this war today instead of letting it drag on for years. The Zephyrians chose total war when they targeted civilians. Now they get to see what total war really looks like. As the Valiant prepared to unleash weapons that most of the galaxy did not even know existed, the battle was about to take a turn that would change galactic history forever. The ancient human ship was about to show everyone what happened when a species that truly understood war decided to end one. The Zephyrians were about to learn that some sleeping giants should never be awakened. The first sign that the Zephyrians faced something they had never seen before came when the Valiant's railguns opened fire at full power. Unlike the energy weapons that most galactic civilizations used, the ancient human ship threw physical objects at speeds close to the speed of light. Direct hits on 3 destroyers, reported Ensign Stone with excitement she could barely control. Captain, their shields are not stopping our bullets at all. The rounds are going straight through, like the shields are not even there. 3 Zephyrian destroyers simply stopped existing. They were torn apart by tungsten bullets that treated their advanced energy barriers like empty air. The other enemy ships immediately began moving in wild patterns, but the Valiant's targeting systems had been designed to track objects moving between planets at high speed. 36 targets are trying to lock onto us, reported Parker. They are charging all their plasma weapons at once. Time until impact? 15 seconds, Captain. Lisa's response was calm and deadly. Pete, full power to the gravity well generators. Miss Stone, fire all electromagnetic pulse arrays at maximum. Strength. The space around the Valiant twisted and bent as the gravity generators created areas where the laws of physics worked differently. Incoming plasma bolts curved away from the ship like water flowing around a rock. At the same time, the EMP arrays released electromagnetic energies so powerful that it fried every electronic system within 100,000 kilometers. Zephyrian cruisers went completely dead in space. Their crews were left in the dark with no power, no weapons, and no way to move their ships. The Valiant's missiles found these helpless targets and destroyed them one by one. Captain, came Admiral Vekvar's voice, filled with shock. What are you doing to them? Ending this war, Admiral. Miss Stone, Target the enemy flagship. Load the quantum vacuum bombs. The quantum vacuum bombs were humanity's most secret weapons. They were so dangerous that their existence had been hidden from everyone, even other humans. Each bomb created a tear in the fabric of space itself, causing matter to destroy itself in a chain reaction that grew bigger and bigger until it ran out of things to destroy. Quantum vacuum bomb loaded and ready, Stone reported. Her voice was shaking a little. Captain, are you sure about this? The Zephyrians made their choice when they started killing civilians. Fire the weapon. The quantum vacuum bomb hit the Zephyrian flagship and created a sphere of pure nothingness. The sphere grew larger and larger, eating everything it touched. The flagship disappeared completely, along with 3 escort ships that were too close. The sphere finally stopped growing when it reached empty space. The remaining Zephyrian fleet saw their command ship simply cease to exist. They had witnessed technology that seemed to break the laws of nature. Panic spread through their ranks as they realized they were fighting something beyond their understanding. All enemy vessels are running away, reported Parker with disbelief. In his voice, Captain, they are sending surrender signals. No, Lisa replied with cold anger. They targeted innocent people. They chose to fight a war with no rules. She turned to Stone. Launch the planet crackers. Target their escape routes. The Valiant's mass drivers fired tungsten rods the size of telephone poles at speeds that turned them into weapons more powerful than nuclear bombs. Each rod carried enough energy to destroy a city, and the ship carried thousands of them. The fleeing Zephyrian fleet found itself caught in a storm of metal that turned space into a killing field. Ships that had ruled the galaxy for centuries were reduced to expanding clouds of gas and debris. There was nowhere to run and nowhere to hide. Captain, Stone reported as she watched the destruction, we have destroyed 60% of their fleet. The remaining ships are scattering in all directions. Keep firing. Do not let any of them escape. The Valiant moved through the battlefield like a force of nature. Its ancient weapons turned the most advanced alien technology into scrap metal. Railguns fired continuously, sending streams of bullets that could not be stopped. Missiles found their targets with perfect accuracy. The mass drivers launched rod after rod of tungsten death. Captain, Parker called out, I am getting surrender signals from individual ships now. They are begging us to stop. Too late for that, Lisa replied. They should have thought about surrender before they started this war. The battle became a one-sided slaughter. The Zephyrian Empire's mighty invasion fleet was being destroyed by a single human ship that was older than their entire civilization. Advanced alien technology meant nothing against weapons built by humans who understood. That war was not a game. Captain, Stone reported, we have destroyed 85% of their fleet. The remaining ships are no longer a threat. Continue firing until they are all gone. The last Zephyrian ship was destroyed exactly 1 hour and 14 minutes after the Valiant had opened fire. The invasion fleet that had conquered half the galaxy was now nothing but floating debris and expanding gas clouds. All enemy contacts destroyed, Stone reported. Captain, we have won. Lisa looked at the tactical display, showing the empty space where the Zephyrian fleet had been. Send a message to Admiral Vekvar. Tell him the threat has been eliminated. Captain. Hayes, came the Admiral's voice, filled with awe and fear. What have you done? We ended the war, Admiral. The Zephyrian Empire no longer has a fleet. In 1 hour? Human weapons are designed for efficiency, Admiral. We do not believe in long wars. As the Valiant's crew began to shut down their weapons systems, Lisa realized that they had just changed the balance of power in the galaxy forever. The species that had joined the Federation as junior partners had just demonstrated military technology that made everyone else's weapons look like toys. "Captain," Pete reported, "all systems are functioning normally. We used less than 10% of our ammunition." "What about the special weapons?" "We still have hundreds of quantum vacuum bombs and thousands of planet crackers. We barely touched." "Our reserves," Lisa nodded. The Valiant had been built to fight much longer and harder wars than this. The Zephyrian Empire had been defeated by a tiny fraction of the ship's true power. The galaxy was about to learn that humanity had been holding back for 3 centuries. The ancient warship had shown everyone what human military technology looked like when it was unleashed. And this was just the beginning. 3 weeks after the Battle of Kepler 442, leaders from across the galaxy came to the Federation capital to watch the formal surrender of the Zephyrian Empire. The ceremony was held on board the USS Valiant, which now sat in a place of honor. In the system's outer defense area, Captain Hayes stood on the bridge, watching as group after group of alien leaders toured the ancient human vessel. Their faces showed awe and barely hidden fear. The ship that had ended a galactic war in just over 1 hour was now the most studied and feared object in known space. "Captain," reported Lieutenant Parker, "the Zephyrian delegation has arrived. They are asking permission to come on board." "Let them come. Have guards escort them to the main hangar." The Zephyrian surrender group was led by War Marshal Zikthara, the military leader who had planned the failed invasion. The tall, reptile-like being moved with the careful dignity of a predator that had met a bigger predator. "Captain Hayes," Zikthara spoke through a translation device, "I have come to formally surrender the Zephyrian Empire to the Galactic Federation and to ask for terms to end all fighting." "The Federation will negotiate terms," Lisa replied. "But understand this. Any future attacks by your people will result in more human vessels being sent." The War Marshal's scales changed color, and what Lisa had learned was a sign of deep fear. "Captain, may I ask how many ships of this class humanity has?" Lisa let the question hang in the air for a long moment before answering. "The Valiant is the only extinction-class dreadnought ever built. We retired the design because we found it too much. If this vessel represents your old technology, what does your current military look like?" "That information is secret," Lisa replied with a small smile. "But I can tell you that we have learned a great deal about being efficient in the past." 500 years. Later that day, as the various groups left, Lisa found herself alone on the observation deck with Admiral Rogers, who had come to oversee moving the Valiant back to active service. "The Federation Council wants to create a new military plan based on human tactics," Rogers told her. "They are calling it the Deterrent Protocol. The idea is that having overwhelming power prevents wars instead of making them longer." "Are we comfortable with that job, Admiral? Being the galaxy's police force?" Rogers was quiet for a moment, looking out at the stars. "The alternative is letting conflicts like this go on for decades, costing millions of lives. Sometimes the threat of total victory is the only thing that keeps peace. And if another species develops weapons that can match ours, then we make sure we develop something better first." Rogers turned to face her. "Lisa, humanity spent 5,000 years learning how to fight wars. In one day, you convinced the galaxy that we have also learned how to end them. That is a responsibility we cannot take lightly." During the weeks that followed, delegations from every major civilization came to study the Valiant. They wanted to understand how human weapons worked and why they were so effective. What they learned changed how they thought about warfare forever. "The humans do not fight like we do," reported the Altarian Science Council to their government. "They do not try to match their enemy's strength. Instead, they build weapons that ignore the enemy's defenses completely." The Centauri Coalition's military experts reached similar conclusions. Human weapons are designed around a simple principle. If you cannot stop something, do not try. Find a way around it instead. But it was the psychological impact that truly changed the galaxy. Every species now knew that humanity possessed weapons that could end any war in hours. The mere threat of human involvement was enough to stop conflicts before they started. We have received reports from 17 different sectors. Admiral Chun told the human delegation during a security briefing. Border disputes that have gone on for decades are being resolved through negotiation. No one wants to risk having human ships show up. Commander Morrison, who had first suggested using the Valiant, found himself in charge of a new department called Conflict Prevention. His job was to monitor potential wars and decide when to threaten human intervention. "It is strange," he told his staff during a meeting. "We joined the Federation as the weakest member. Now we are the strongest, and we never wanted to be." The Valiant itself became a symbol of human power throughout the galaxy. It was stationed at different trouble spots, never firing its weapons, but always present. Its mere appearance was usually enough to end conflicts. The ship has become more effective as a peacekeeper than it ever was as a weapon, Captain Hayes noted in her log. The galaxy has learned that some fights are not worth having. But Lisa knew that their new position came with dangers. Fear could turn into hatred if they were not careful. Other species might decide that humanity was too dangerous to exist and try to work together against them. "We need to be careful," she told Admiral Rogers during one of their regular meetings. "Power like this can make enemies as easily as it keeps peace. That is why we are sharing some of our older technology with the Federation," Rogers replied. "Not the dangerous stuff, but enough to show that we want to help, not rule." As months passed, a new order settled over the galaxy. Wars became rare because no one wanted to risk human involvement. Trade increased as species felt safer traveling between systems. The Federation grew stronger as members focused on cooperation instead of conflict. The USS Valiant continued its patrols, a reminder to everyone that humanity understood something important about warfare. The most effective weapon was often the one you hoped you never had to use. In the depths of space, engineers on Earth were already working on new projects, applying centuries of additional knowledge to the lessons learned from humanity's age of total war. The galaxy had learned to fear human military technology, but more importantly, it had learned to respect human restraint. The ancient warship had done exactly what it was built to do. It had ended wars, but now it faced a new challenge. Could it help keep the peace it had created? Only time would tell if humanity was ready for the responsibility that came with ultimate power. The galaxy watched and waited, knowing that the species from Earth had not yet shown everything they were capable. Oh,